On her wedding day, General Chu Qinglan is celebrated with a grand and vibrant procession. The city rejoices as banners rise high for the nation's most praised general. Yet, in the midst of splendor, dread seizes her heart. Suddenly, visions flood her mind, visions of a night drowned in fire and blood. She sees her family's manor engulfed in flames, her kin mercilessly slaughtered. The assassin's voice cuts through the chaos, declaring it a birthday gift from His Highness the Crown Prince. In that nightmare, she beholds a cruel truth. Her own sister, Xue'er, and her fiancé, Crown Prince Xiaoling, standing amid the carnage, laughing. Xiaoling reveals his betrayal with chilling calm, boasting that he traded the loyal blood of the Chu family for the safety of his throne. Before her dying eyes, he strikes the final blow that ends her life. But then, Chu Qinglan awakens. Her breath returns. The wedding drums still sound. She sits within her bridal sedan, alive once more. Realization dawns. She has been reborn. Determined to rewrite her fate, she rides to the Marquis's residence entrance. There stands Xiaoling with his mistress, Xue'er, and an illegitimate son. He commands that she accept the child or be cast aside. This time, the once obedient bride becomes the storm. Chu Qinglan lifts her veil, eyes blazing with the fury of a fallen general. Before all, she condemns his shamelessness, his corruption, betrayal, and the disgrace of bringing his mistress and child to their wedding. When Xiaoling threatens divorce, she strikes first. Tearing the phoenix crown from her head, she hurls it to the ground. Her voice rings clear and proud. Today, it is I, Chu Qinglan, who is divorcing my husband. Gasps echo through the crowd as she vows to find a new, upright husband who will marry into her house. Among the stunned onlookers, a disheveled young man steps forward, gaze unwavering. Chu Qinglan turns to him and asks, "Give you a wife? Do you want one?" He kneels and accepts her offer with sincerity. As their hands meet, a fleeting vision flashes before his eyes. This woman, clad in armor, radiant with power. She takes his hand firmly and walks away from treachery. "Lonner, it's all over," the man says quietly. "No," the woman replies firmly, "it's not over yet." She walks purposefully out of the throne room, past fallen guards. He follows Black, a flicker of confusion on his face. They emerge onto a grand stone veranda overlooking a courtyard where court officials in red and green robes stand assembled. The woman's voice rings out with authority. "Esteemed lords, the traitors Zhao Wen and his son, who disrupted the court and murdered the late emperor, their crimes are proven. They have now been executed in the palace." She gestures to the man beside her. "This is the one who was missing for 3 years, who endured humiliation for his cause, and who has returned to restore order. His Highness, the Crown Prince." The scene transitions. "A nation cannot be without a ruler for a single day," the woman declares, raising a small bronze tiger tally, symbol of military authority. "Minister Chu Qinglan, with this tiger tally as proof, and the Chu family army as my witness," she turns to the prince. "I respectfully invite your Highness, the Crown Prince, to ascend the throne immediately, to restore our land and protect our state." Gracefully, she kneels in fealty. Inspired, a subordinate shouts the command, and all officials kneel in unison. A powerful chant rises. "We respectfully welcome His Highness the Crown Prince to the throne. 10,000 years, 10,000 years, 10,000 years." Their voices echo, cementing the transfer of power. The Crown Prince looks down at the kneeling woman, expression softening. He gently helps her to her feet, and together they stand, hands clasped, a united front gazing upon their new court. In the third winter of the Yangtze era, Crown Prince Guoji cleanses the court of the treacherous Zhao Wen and his son, washing the Golden Throne Hall in blood. The new emperor ascends, proclaiming Chu Qinglan as his empress. Dressed in magnificent black and gold imperial robes, they stand together on the throne hall steps as officials kneel, shouting allegiance. Long live your majesty, 10,000 years. Long live her majesty the empress, 1,000 years. Thus began a prosperous new era, and their story was complete. Inside a lavish, golden-draped throne room, a man in yellow imperial robes laughs with unhinged triumph. Before him, a man in black lies motionless on the red carpet, a symbol of brutal victory. Watching are a young man in richly embroidered black robes, expression cold and furious, and a woman in a vibrant red gown, her face etched with sorrow and resolve. The laughing emperor turns, voice echoing in the hall. The woman in red glares, her expression hardening. Suddenly, the emperor's laughter dies. He looks up at the ceiling, face a canvas of despair, whispering, "It's over. It's all over." The woman turns to her companion. "Your Highness," she says, voice steady despite turmoil, "our past hardships were all because the Zhao clan brought calamity to our nation. Today, we settle this once and for all." The man in black nods firmly. A guard presents him with a long spear adorned with a red tassel, while another ally hands the woman a gleaming sword. With weapons in hand, their resolve is absolute. A fierce but brief battle erupts. The man in black lunges with his spear, overwhelming the emperor, who stumbles back in terror. The woman watches, grim. The fight concludes with the emperor defeated, kneeling on the floor. The man in black stands over him, voice heavy with years of pain. 3 years. Every moment I've waited for this day. I will make you repay the suffering you inflicted on my imperial father 100 times over. The woman points her sword at the disgraced emperor. "Old thief Zhao Wen," she seethes, "you murdered the sovereign to usurp the throne, poisoning the late emperor." Driven into a corner, the emperor screams, "I haven't lost! I haven't lost!" In a final, desperate act, he pulls a dagger and swiftly cuts his own throat, collapsing lifeless onto the red carpet. In the throne room, Chu Qinglan confirms her family's safety before a shocking truth is revealed. She is horrified to realize the man on the throne is not the true emperor, but an imposter, Zhao Wen, who supposedly died 3 years ago. His son, the now crippled Xiao Ling, is equally stunned, realizing the man he believed was the emperor is actually his father. The true crown prince, Rong, steps forward, pointing an accusing finger at the imposter. An attacker rips the mask from Xiao Wen's face, revealing the true younger Xiao Wen. Exposed, Xiao Wen reveals his decade-long scheme, faking his death, poisoning the late emperor, and carving his own face to seize the throne and pave the way for the Xiao family. Rong explains he discovered the plot using a forged token and by exhuming the empty ancestral tomb. Xiao Wen rages at his son, Xiao Ling, blaming him for the plan's failure. Desperate, Xiao Ling clings to the discarded mask and pleads for a second chance to reclaim the throne. Xiao Wen, looking upon him with utter disgust, draws a blade and fatally stabs him, screaming, "It is you who delayed my great plan." Xiao Ling collapses lifeless, the ultimate victim of his father's maniacal ambition. The imperial court erupts in turmoil following Chu Xue'er's exposure and suicide. Chu Qinglan seizes the moment, identifying the unmasked warrior as the supposedly dead Marquis Xiao Ling. She publicly accuses him of deceiving the monarch, faking his death, impersonating a loyal subject, and fabricating evidence, crimes worthy of 100 deaths. The court kneels, demanding Xiao Ling's immediate execution. The emperor bellows for silence, dismissing all but Chu Qinglan and Xiaoling. Once alone, the emperor reveals his true malice, circling Chu Qinglan with a sinister smile and holding a dagger to her throat, threatening the lives of her entire family. He calls for a man named Xue'er. Xiaoling recognizes the black-robed newcomer as Xiao Wen. The emperor is stunned when the newcomer produces an ornate silver token, confirming his identity as the genuine Xue'er. The balance of power shifts dramatically as the true figure's identity is undeniable. Accused, Chu Qinglan stands defiant as the masked warrior presents 3 letters certified by her former teacher, Master Zhou, as proof of treason and collusion with an enemy. Chu Qinglan cleverly maintains her innocence, arguing her cousin Chu Xue'er is skilled at forging her handwriting. The enraged Xiaoling urges the emperor to search her residence for more proof, which yields nothing, confirming her warning. As the guards return, the tables turn. Chu Qinglan presents her own witnesses, Chu Xue'er and a servant. Dozens of identical forged letters spill from Xue'er's robes. The servant confesses to catching Xue'er attempting to plant evidence in Chu Qinglan's study. With the court convinced of a conspiracy to frame her loyal family, officials kneel and plead for her family's honor. In a desperate moment, a terrified Chu Xue'er screams at Xiaoling, revealing a final, shocking secret. Her child is not his, but the product of an affair. Horrified and betrayed, Xiaoling stumbles backward, his mask falling to reveal his face. As Chu Xue'er is dragged away, she curses his family line and tragically takes her own life, leaving the imperial court in chaos. In a remote clearing, Xue'er and his subordinates are ambushed by the emperor's men, who taunt him as a traitor of the Xuanji Gate. Xue'er effortlessly defeats them using the formidable 9-Nether Shadow Art, killing their leader. Declaring he cannot leave Chu Qinglan to face the abyss alone, he instantly flies to the imperial city. In the opulent throne room, the emperor is prepared to bestow the tiger tally upon the new masked general, Xiaoling. Chu Qinglan confronts the masked man, reminding him she is the true hero of the northern border. She issues a bold challenge. The true general bears a star-shaped scar on his left shoulder. If the masked general shows it, she will surrender the tally and her life. The masked general attempts to refuse on grounds of decorum. However, Chu Qinglan, with a flash of speed, rips the armor from his shoulder, revealing smooth, unmarked skin to the astonished court. The emperor erupts in fury, but Chu Qinglan kneels and reveals her true gambit. The scar story was a lie to trick him into admitting he was hiding something. The court agrees the tally is safer with her. With his true identity nearly exposed, Xiaoling plays his final, desperate card, accusing Chu Qinglan of treason and claiming irrefutable proof from her study. Chu Qinglan is stunned by the betrayal. Chu Qinglan shares a poignant farewell with her family, instructing her young brother to protect their grandfather and sister. She reassures them she will return within 3 to 5 days. Her husband, Arong, dressed in ornate black and gold robes, offers one last chance for her to flee, that ultimately agrees to escort her family to safety. He reminds her to break the Xuanji Gate jade pendant if danger arises. Meanwhile, a veiled woman plots to plant incriminating evidence in Chu Qinglan's study. In the palace, Chu Qinglan recognizes the masked general as Xiaoling and confronts him defiantly. She then faces the emperor, who praises the masked general as a national hero and attempts to grant him the tiger tally, the ultimate symbol of military command. Chu Qinglan refuses to surrender the tally based solely on words. She declares the masked man an imposter, a fraud who has stolen another's glory, and a traitor who deceives the emperor. At the same moment, in a remote forest, assassins ambush the carriage carrying her family. They reveal knowledge of Arong's true identity, shouting that he is the crown prince. Arong's subordinate finds himself surrounded, and the enemy declares, "Xuan, I finally found you." Under the moonlight in a peach blossom grove, Chu Qinglan practices her powerful sword dance. Suddenly, a mysterious masked general in black appears, calling her Xue'er. He removes his mask, revealing a handsome, pained face. She recognizes him from years past, realizing her impending palace visit is fraught with danger. The man implores her to flee with her family to the safety of the Xuanji Gate. Chu Qinglan, resolute, declares she must face the palace and settle her final debts with Xiaoling herself. She reveals her true purpose, to protect her family and share a peaceful, romantic night with him before the coming conflict. He agrees, saying, "Tonight we will only speak of romance, not of separation. I will stay with you, not drunk, not leaving." They share a toast and a tender embrace. Chu Qinglan rests her head against his chest after a deep, passionate kiss, stealing a fleeting moment of peace with the man she calls more beautiful than the moon. A general rushes into the estate to warn Chu Qinglan and Gu Jin Arong that the emperor has introduced a mysterious masked general to the court. Gu Jin immediately realizes the emperor is making a move. Chu Qinglan, upon hearing masked general, has a flashback and confirms her realization. She was the true warrior who saved the general 3 years ago. The general reveals the emperor's command for Gu Jin to enter the palace with the tiger tally, a move feared as a trap against the Chu clan. Unfazed, Chu Qinglan resolves to go to the palace herself to uncover the truth, assuring her grandfather she can handle any danger. Meanwhile, in the palace, the emperor bestows the masked general identity upon a man in silver and assigns him a mission. The masked man, accompanied by a veiled woman, vows to utterly destroy Chu Qinglan, ruin her reputation, and ensure she dies without a burial place, much to the emperor's sinister delight. In a sunlit garden, Gu Yan, Arong, embraces Chu Qinglan despite her playful protests about his shamelessness. He assures her it is too late to resist his nature, and she eventually melts into a tender embrace, smiling with contentment. The scene shifts to a dark room where an injured, chained Xiaoling awakens. He addresses the regal man in gold robes as Your Majesty, learning that the emperor saved him out of duty to his fallen sworn brother. Xiaoling immediately implores the emperor for justice against the poisonous woman Chu Qinglan, accusing her of brutal torture, including tendon destruction and the obliteration of his lifeblood. The emperor recalls Chu Qinglan's public defiance and promises to handle the matter. Fueled by vengeance, Xiaoling vows to himself that as long as he lives, he will never let Chu Qinglan go. The main plot reaches a turning point, focusing on political intrigue and the couple's bond. The emperor, confirming the discovery that the beggar is his own son, the crown prince, angrily orders his subordinate to secretly investigate and report immediately. The subordinate rushes off, but soon realizes a decisive royal token has been lost. In a serene garden, Chu Qinglan and Gu Jin Arong discuss the missing captives. Arong's subordinates report that the escape was aided by a traitor from the Xuanji sect, Xuan, presenting the lost royal token, confirming Chu Qinglan's suspicion. Arong's pursuers are tied to the imperial court. Arong remarks, "It seems that in this imperial court, not everyone is a good person." He reassures her that he has endured for years just to wait for him to reveal his weakness. He then issues a cryptic order: "Go help the Shao family's Ling Yuan, loosen the soil," signaling the conspiracy's deep roots. Finally, Arong tenderly promises Chu Qinglan that after uprooting this enemy, he will honor her with a grand, formal wedding ceremony. Though she reminds him they are already married, he insists, eyes full of love, "This time, I want to lift the veil, drink the nuptial wine, and then listen to you whisper to me 100 times, husband." Chu Qinglan confronts Gu Shi, Arong, about a fresh wound on his wrist. Under her stern ultimatum, he finally confesses that he has been drawing his own blood, which his martial arts have transformed into a potent medicinal elixir to save her life during her 3-day coma. Horrified, Chu Qinglan makes him promise that they will both live well together, abandoning vows of death. The conversation shifts to the missing enemies, Zhao Ling and Chu Xue'er. Arong assures her his men are tracking them, and they embrace, a moment of quiet relief amidst ongoing turmoil. The scene dramatically shifts to a dark chamber, where the emperor observes a shaman performing a ritual over an unconscious, severely injured Zhao Ling. Furious, the emperor learns that Zhao Ling's manhood has been permanently destroyed by a whip, a strike delivered by the beggar's wife. The emperor's subordinate confirms that he rescued the marquis just in time, and that Chu Xue'er remains in the dungeon awaiting judgment. Finally, the subordinate whispers his suspicion. The beggar is none other than the missing crown prince. The emperor's face contorts with shock and rage at the revelation. Chu Qinglan, recovering and surrounded by her loving family, believes they are safe and happy. After the children leave, her grandfather entrusts her protection to Arong, who swears on his life to always guard her. Chu Qinglan watches her family with quiet contentment, believing she has finally secured their safety. Arong returns to her side, but the tender scene shatters as Chu Qinglan drops her facade. She looks him in the eye and asks, "But you, Arong, have you played the fool long enough?" She reveals that she knows his true identity. He is the capable master of the Xuanzi sect. Demanding the truth, she confronts him about his deception. Arong abandons his gentle act and confesses he is both Arong, her husband, and Gu Ji, the young master of the Xuanzi sect. Desperately, he pleads for her forgiveness, explaining that he hid his identity to protect her from his powerful enemies. Chu Qinglan's expression hardens as she pieces together his manipulations, realizing that the martial arts competition and leaked information about the Xuanzi sect were all part of his calculated plan. Her voice laced with pain and accusation, she asks, "Young master, you are truly a master of calculation, planning every step. Did you enjoy the show?" In the Xuanzi sect hall, Chu Qinglan prepares to deliver the final fatal lash of her whip to the kneeling, crippled marquis and Chu Xue'er. Zhao Ling, terrified, attempts to bargain, warning that executing a marquis will bring annihilation upon her clan. Chu Qinglan scoffs at his pret, declaring the first lash is for betrayal, the second for her fallen family's souls, and the third to cast them into hell. Just as the final strike descends, a sharp command echoes, "Spare them!" A man in black robes, Arong's subordinate, springs into action, deploying a smoke bomb to disarm Chu Qinglan and whisks away the captives. Stunned by the unexpected intervention from a Xuanji Gate insider, Chu Qinglan collapses from exhaustion. She awakens in her bed at the general's manor, surrounded by her worried grandfather and siblings. She learns the brutal scene was a nightmare, a haunting echo of past events, confirming the terror of her enemy's plot to destroy her family. Her family explains she fainted at the Xuanji Gate and has slept for 3 days. Relieved yet resolute, Chu Qinglan is informed that the Marquis's residence is now empty, their fate unknown. With her enemies defeated and her family safe, she declares, "From this day on, our general's manor will be safe. We will only grow stronger."
Surrounded by her siblings' love, she drinks her medicine, finally feeling a profound sense of peace and hope. The ultimate confrontation unfolds as Chu Qinglan offers her sister, Xue'er, a poisonous, corrosive powder. She instructs her to apply it to the healing herb, the Ji-young Duanxiu grass. Having discerned Xue'er's hidden ambitions, Chu Qinglan ensures Xue'er understands that by crippling the Marquis, her son, Lin'er, will become the sole heir of the Marquis' mansion. Xiaoling, desperate for the cure, consumes the herb in a frantic attempt to heal himself. Initial relief quickly transforms into horror as he collapses, screaming, "How did I become a eunuch?" Chu Qinglan looks down on him with icy triumph. When he accuses her, she denies responsibility, cruelly blaming the terrified Xue'er. "This was clearly done by your most beloved Xue'er." In a final explosion of rage and betrayal, the crippled Marquis lunges at the cowering Xue'er, consumed by the ruin of their mutual destruction. Kneeling before her, Xiaoling and Xue'er express a mixture of pain and gratitude to the figure they believe is the young palace master for allowing them to survive. Chu Qinglan, the true mastermind, stands above them, recalling vivid flashbacks of their past cruelty. She declares that the pain they once inflicted upon her has now returned to them, as her men symbolically pour dirt over their heads. A furious Xiaoling finally recognizes her and screams her name. Chu Qinglan, composed and resolute, admits, "It was me," revealing her control over the situation. Confused, Xiaoling questions how she could be the young master, concluding that the fool, a wrong, must be the real one, provoking a guard to strike him for insulting their master. Cutting through the confusion, Chu Qinglan asserts that the only thing that matters is her control over the desired herb. A servant presents the 9-yang succession severing herb, fueling Xiaoling's desperate hope. Chu Qinglan taunts him, forcing him to crawl across the hall to retrieve the herb himself, humiliating him one final time. As Xiaoling and Xue'er painfully crawl toward the herb, Xue'er finally reaches the box. Just as she prepares to open it, Chu Qinglan addresses her directly. "Sister, what is the meaning of this?" leaving the climax of their vengeance suspended in tension. The scene opens upon a kneeling couple, Marquis Xiaoling and Xue'er, subjected to humiliation by the Xuanji sect guards for daring to seek the rare herb. The guards mock their gifts and force them to kowtow violently, thanking the sect for a mercy they scarcely comprehend. They will endure only one trial. From the top of a long, daunting stone staircase, the regal Chu Qinglan delivers her chilling ultimatum. Though unrecognized as the sect's young palace master, her authority is absolute. They must kowtow on every step until they reach her feet, a 1,000-step ordeal guaranteed to shatter bones and soak the stones with blood. The couple, horrified, pleads for mercy, citing Xiaoling's unhealed injuries. Chu Qinglan remains unmoved. As she counts down, they begin the agonizing kowtows. Xiaoling seethes inwardly with rage, cursing Chu Qinglan and vowing vengeance, yet resolves to endure in order to secure the herb for his future. To intensify their torment, Chu Qinglan orders the guards to sprinkle the stairs with salt and sharp nails. Her attendant, A Rong, watches from above, admiration in his eyes, as the couple begins their torturous, bloody ascent. In the grand hall of the Xuanji sect, Chu Qinglan steps forward to undertake the first trial, to state the virtues of the young palace master. Taking the guard's counsel to heart, she models her description on her husband, A Rong. Sword-like eyebrows and star-like eyes, a tall and upright posture, and kind. A Rong, though pleased, is mildly annoyed when the guards add extravagant embellishments to the virtues. The second trial is deceptively simple. Accept lavish introductory gifts from A Rong, declared to be a belated betrothal gift.
He promises to search the world for treasures on her behalf. Chu Qinglan, stunned yet grateful, graciously accepts. The third trial proves formidable. All the men present draw their swords, kneel and implore her to assume command of the Xuanji sect. Chu Qinglan, utterly astonished, accepts the jade pendant of Borody, cementing her new role. Her first act as leader is deliberate and chilling. Addressing the kneeling Marquis Xiaoling and his mistress, who beg for the antidote to Xiaoling's infertility, she commands, "Give Xiaoling the cure, the 9-yang continuation grass, but mix it with the deadly rotten grass powder. I want them to wish for death, but be unable to die." Her husband, the young palace master, immediately affirms her command, instructing his men to obey without question. The elderly general gravely warns Chu Qinglan that seeking assistance from the mysterious Xuanji sect is perilous and demands a great price. Driven by the hatred from her past life, she is resolute. Xiaolin must be eradicated to protect her family. Her plan: confront the sect's master strategist and replace Xiaoling's life-saving medicine with poison. As Chu Qinglan prepares to depart, Ourang delivers a stunning declaration. "Lan'er, the Xuanji sect will of course welcome you, because that is my territory." Lan'er stares at him, utterly shocked. Arriving at the Xuanji sect, Ourang now assumes the guise of its young master. Lan'er insists on adhering to the sect's strict rules, kneeling to request an audience. A furious Ourang scolds his guards for their tardiness, and they immediately apologize, respectfully ushering them inside, a sight that Lan'er in disbelief. Inside the grand hall, Lan'er prepares to face the sect's challenges. A guard informs her that she must pass 3 trials to petition for a favor. The first challenge is announced. State 3 of the young palace master's virtues. Lan'er is left in absolute astonishment, the weight of the trials settling upon her. Meanwhile, the unconscious Marquis Xiaoling awakens to a devastating prognosis from the imperial physician, rendering him infertile. His mistress, Xue'er, feigns concern while secretly scheming for her son to become the sole heir. The Marquis erupts in fury. The physician offers a glimmer of hope, a rare cure, the 9-yang discontinuation grass, found only within the secret vault of the Xuanji sect. Undeterred, the Marquis vows to recover, leveraging wealth to access the sect and exact vengeance upon Chu Qinglan and Ourang. Unseen, his subordinates confirm that news of his injury has been deliberately leaked to Chu Qinglan per Ourang's orders. Back at the general's manor, Chu Qinglan is joyfully greeted by her grandfather. He watches with pride as Ourang practices martial arts, his devotion to protecting Chu Qinglan awakening a talent described as 1 in a million. Chu Qinglan is taken aback by Ourang's increasingly intimate and forward behavior, wiping sweat with her sleeve and commenting on her fragrant scent, raising suspicion about his faint simplicity. Taking advantage of the news about Xiaoling, Chu Qinglan requests to borrow the family's prized Kunwu cold jade. She explains it will serve as a door-knocking brick to gain audience with the Xuanji sect master and prevent Xiaoling from obtaining the cure. As she speaks, Ourang lowers his gaze, a shadow of internal conflict crossing his face. A distressed general breathes a sigh of relief as his granddaughter, Chu Qinglan, unexpectedly returns unharmed from the palace. Her younger siblings rush to her side, presenting a red string peace charm, and she promises to remain with them, always protecting their safety. Ourang, silently observing this tender family moment, muses that he is witnessing an intimacy unknown even to royalty. Later that night, Chu Qinglan practices calligraphy, her brush carefully inscribing the name Xiaoling, a prelude to her plan to exploit the Marquis's injury and dismantle his household. Ourang watches her with resolve, silently vowing to help her destroy her enemies. He summons his subordinates and issues 2 precise commands.
First, spread rumors that Xiaoling's injury will cause infertility, with the only cure held by the secretive Chuanji sect. Second, ensure Chu Qinglan learns of this, knowing the allies she needs to aid her revenge are within reach. Arong declares he wants her to see that he is no simpleton, but Gu Qi, a man capable of standing beside her in battle. Confident that the revelation of his strength will appeal to her, Arong strides boldly into her room and offers, "Let me warm your bed." Chu Qinglan is left in stunned silence, her heart momentarily racing.
In the stunned throne room, the masked Arong has bested the treacherous Marquise Xiaoling, who lies unconscious and bleeding. Arong immediately resumes his childlike manner, pointing at the fallen Marquis. "He's so ugly, so scary." Chu Qinglan scolds him for the risk, yet seizes the moment to challenge the emperor. She argues Arong's innocence is now proven and exposes Xiaoling's premeditated attempt on life, citing the use of a deadly technique. The emperor, however, rules that in a duel, life and death are one's own responsibility and dismisses the accusation. Arong, undeterred, accuses the emperor of shielding Xiaoling. Chu Qinglan presses on, finally securing the emperor's declaration that the matter is closed and that Xiaoling may no longer trouble Arong. With that, they are dismissed. In the carriage that carries them away, Chu Qinglan remains taut with unease. Arong feigns fear, drawing her head to his chest and murmuring that his heart races. She pulls back, unfooled. His heartbeat is calm and strong. She warns the danger is not past. Resolute, Chu Qinglan states her plan plainly and without mercy. "I will uproot Xiaoling and the Marquis of Yangcheng's household behind him, completely." A masked figure enters the throne room. Arong playing the part of a child, wearing a playful tiger mask that only deepens the emperor's suspicion. Xiaoling kneels theatrically, imploring the emperor to order immediate execution, claiming the beggar feigns foolishness to become a greater threat. Xiaoling proposes a 10-move duel in court, an ostensible contest that, a whisper in the hall reveals, is merely a pretense to kill Arong and dismiss his death as an unfortunate accident. Though Chu Qinglan protests the cruelty, the emperor forces her reluctant consent. Before combat begins, Chu Qinglan urgently instructs Arong, dodge only, obey her commands, and survive. The duel commences. Awkward at first, Arong moves exactly as she shouts, sidestepping, ducking, retreating, evading Xiaoling's increasingly reckless assaults. Frustration turns to fury in Xiaoling. He unleashes a lethal technique, the Iron Mountain Lean, meant to kill. At the moment the blow descends, Arong's facade shatters. With impossible speed and raw power, he catches Xiaoling's arm, neutralizes the strike, and hurls the prince to the ground. Xiaoling lies defeated, coughing blood, as the entire court, including the emperor, gapes at Arong's sudden, masterful display. In the opulent throne room, the air crackles with tension. Chu Qinglan stands unyielding, passionately defending Arong, arguing that his childlike mind is proof he cannot be a spy. Xiaoling challenges her, suggesting the beggar's influence is either dark magic or treachery, accusing Chu Qinglan of slander. She answers by laying bare his moral corruption, his mistress and illegitimate son, declaring him unfit to be her husband. Xiaoling presses forward with a darker claim, linking the beggar's sudden appearance to the long-missing crown prince and asserting Arong is an enemy spy. The emperor, unsettled, admits the coincidence is suspicious. Seizing the moment, Xiaoling argues it is safer to execute a potential threat than to risk the realm's security. Convinced, the emperor commands his guards, "Bring the beggar into the hall." In a desperate act, Chu Qinglan seizes the legendary Pan Long halberd and bars the way.
She kneels, offering her life and the honor of the entire Chu family as a vow to spare Arong. The emperor reproaches her for placing personal sentiment above the state. Zhao Ling declares her bewitched by a demon, and the imperial command to arrest the alleged spy is repeated with stern finality. Then, as the order hangs heavy in the hall, Arong walks in, calm, composed, wearing a mask that hides more than his face. The emperor freezes, disbelief ripping through him. Crown Prince? The true identity of the so-called beggar is revealed in an instant, and the court falls silent, the confrontation brought to an abrupt, dramatic halt. In a courtyard confrontation, the jealous Marquis Xiaoling angrily accuses Chu Qinglan of consorting with the filthy disciple Arong. Arong silences the Marquis with a swift kick, sending him to the ground. Before the Marquis can retaliate, the Emperor arrives, forcing all three to kneel. The Emperor commands Chu Qinglan and Xiaoling to enter, noting that Arong's voice sounds familiar. Arong, left kneeling outside, thinks to himself, "Father Emperor, it has been a long time." Inside the throne room, the Emperor questions Chu Qinglan about resisting the arranged marriage. She justifies her annulment by exposing Xiaoling's humiliating conduct, keeping a mistress, Chu Xue'er, and fathering an illegitimate son. Xiaoling defends himself, attempting to deflect, calling the situation extremely terrifying. He presents a document showing that Arong, the beggar, is untraceable in the household registers. He delivers a chilling accusation. Arong is an enemy spy sent to bewitch the general. A man who could manipulate the general into defying an imperial edict could just as easily turn her sword upon the throne itself. Chu Qinglan shudders at the severity of the charge. Returning to the general's residence, Chu Qinglan informs her relieved grandfather that the Marquis, Xiaoling, was as docile as a trained monkey during the retrieval of her dowry, following Arong's every command. Arong sheds his innocent demeanor for a moment, takes Chu Qinglan's hand, and vows, "I will cast a curse so that you can never leave my side." Chu Qinglan blushes, while her grandfather laughs heartily. At the joyful family dinner, the grandfather praises Chu Qinglan's victory and is touched by Arong's devoted gestures, such as peeling shrimp, prompting Arong to sincerely state, "Arong likes to please sister." The grandfather reminds Chu Qinglan to remain cautious when entering the palace the next day to face the emperor. Meanwhile, the vengeful Marquis Xiaoling and his mistress plot their strategy for the following day. Unbeknownst to them, Arong, cloaked in black, infiltrates their courtyard and sets the house ablaze with a fine powder. As the Marquis flees the sudden flames, Arong observes, stating that the fire is merely a lesson and that the real showdown will be in the throne room tomorrow. Chu Qinglan, standing with her brother, confronts her sister, Chu Xue'er. When Xue'er taunts her with their mother's heirlooms, Chu Qinglan declares Xue'er unworthy. With an unseen power, she violently rips the earring from Xue'er's ear, drawing blood, and flings the screaming woman to the ground. She then publicly exposes the Marquis's crimes of adultery, gambling, and bribery. When the furious Marquis refuses to return the dowry, her brother Arong mockingly commands, "Kneel." The Marquis inexplicably collapses to his knees. After Arong slams the Marquis face first to the ground until he is unconscious, Chu Qinglan collects her dowry. She issues a final ultimatum. The remaining 2 chests of jade must be returned within 3 days, or the Marquis will face the consequences. As Chu Qinglan and Arong leave, the Marquis shakes with fury, threatening to report them to the emperor. When Chu Qinglan directly asks Arong who he truly is, he avoids the question, feigning pain in his chest, claiming the name Erlong.
Her suspicion softens into tenderness and concern when she sees a red mark on his chest, believing he suffers for her sake. As she applies ointment, he wonders if she sees him as a man, while she marvels at his surprisingly strong physique. Later that night, after Chu Qinglan falls asleep, Ah Rong quietly slips from the bed. His two subordinates, clad in black, confirm that he has broken the final seal, becoming the supreme master of the Xuanji sect. Ah Rong reveals his plan. He will remain at the Chu residence, using it as a cover while monitoring the turmoil in the imperial court and his father, the emperor. He resolves to enter the palace with Chu Qinglan at the right moment to uncover the truth. The next morning, Chu Qinglan stands before her servants, declaring that they will march to the marquis's residence to reclaim her dowry. Ah Rong, now dressed in a light blue robe, hurries to join her, confirming that he truly cares for her. At the Yangchang marquis's residence, Chu Qinglan demands her dowry back. The marquis scoffs and refuses, claiming it as compensation because she wronged him. Xue'er, his mistress, volunteers to persuade her sister with cruel intent to gloat over the treasures left by their mother. The young palace master, his memories fully restored, is held back by his companion. The companion reveals that the prince has broken his final seal and is now supreme in the martial world, having mastered the formidable 9 nether shadow tactic. He summons the pills dropped by Chu Qinglan and relays the prince's order, visit the general's residence that night. Meanwhile, at the general's residence, Ah Rong and Chu Qinglan are safely reunited with her grandfather. Though the grandfather worries about the imperial edict, Chu Clan remains confident. She will not fear injustice. Instead, she plans to reclaim her dowry from the now empty marquis's household. Her younger siblings arrive, innocence and joy in their eyes. They playfully fuss over Ah Rong's minor injury, the little girl asking when Chu Clan and her fairy brother will have a baby. Laughter fills the manor, warmth spreading through the family. Later, Chu Clan examines Ah Rong's pulse. Shock crosses her face at its strength and surging internal energy. He is neither simple nor disabled. Ah Rong senses her suspicion and the presence of hidden enemies. Determined, he resolves to keep his true identity concealed, protecting her at all costs. Chu Clan's intuition sharpens into certainty. She looks him squarely in the eye, voice steady. Ah Rong, who are you, really? Yet the story is far from over. The seemingly fatally wounded crown prince rises instantly, internal energy surging. With a single motion, he breaks the arm of eunuch Zhang, the imperial envoy. In his thoughts, Ah Rong recalls all, his memory restored. Yet he must maintain his disguise to safeguard Chu Qinglan. The eunuch realizes the beggar is no mere man, but a master feigning weakness. Xiaoling watches, injured and incredulous, as Chu Qinglan rushes to Ah Rong's side. The eunuch bows, addressing Ah Rong as Your Highness the Crown Prince, the jade pendant betraying his identity. Ah Rong, torn between his true identity and the need for secrecy, subtly manipulates the situation, allowing the eunuch to misidentify the pendant. Eunuch Zhang, eager to save face, seizes the moment, ordering the guards to capture the stinky beggar. Chu Qinglan steps forward, coiling dragon halberd in hand, its imperial authority unmistakable. She halts the eunuch's advance. I will personally enter the palace in 3 days to plead for his life, she declares. If I fail, accept the punishment upon me. Honoring the halberd and the Chu family's legacy, eunuch Zhang relents. He and his men depart. In the shadows, 2 mysterious figures watch silently. Chu Qinglan wields the coiling dragon halberd with unmatched precision. She charges into the marquis's mansion, confronting Xiaoling and his mistress. Their taunts fall on deaf ears as she commands her men to demolish the room before her. Her eyes fix on Xiaoling, ready to deliver justice for her grandfather's collapse. Xiaoling is swiftly overpowered by her martial prowess. Chu Qinglan reveals the halberd as an imperial gift, granting her authority to punish corrupt officials. Striking Xiaoling down, she proclaims the blow is for her grandfather's suffering. When Xiaoling curses her and his mistress attempts to interfere, Chu Qinglan readies the final, lethal strike for the souls of her murdered family. But the moment pauses. A eunuch arrives, announcing an imperial edict. All wrong, her beggar husband is sentenced to immediate execution for bewitching a noble lady. Xiaoling triumphantly reveals his plot. In a desperate act, Xiaoling lunges with a sword toward Chu Qinglan. All wrong throws himself between them, taking the fatal blow. As he falls, a jade pendant with a red tassel slips from his robes. The head eunuch freezes, horror etched across his face. "Your Highness, the crowned prince," he exclaims. The room falls silent. Everyone realizes that the beggar, all wrong, is the long-lost crown prince, fatally wounded while protecting Chu Qinglan. Panic erupts within the general's manor. A servant rushes to Chu Qinglan, breathless with fear, reporting the city rife with whispers, rumors branding her a shameless woman. She had defied an imperial decree, annulled her marriage to the marquis, and taken a beggar as her husband. Her grandfather, the venerable general, roars in fury. The shock proves too great, and he collapses unconscious. A doctor delivers a grave warning. Another blow to his spirit will prove fatal. Hidden from sight, Xiaoling and his accomplice revel in their triumph. The marquis had petitioned the emperor formally, ensuring the Chu family's complete downfall. At the imperial court, the emperor's anger flares at the Chu family's defiance. He commands a eunuch to execute the beggar. Yet, in a sudden change of heart, he halts the eunuch, showing him a jade pendant, instructing him to seek vigilantly for the long-lost crown prince on his journey. Back at the manor, the general awakens, weak but resolute. He demands his legendary coiling dragon halberd, insisting he will personally avenge the honor of his family. Chu Qinglan, unwavering, reassures him, "Whoever dares to harm our family will pay with their life." Grasping the formidable weapon, Chu Qinglan storms the Yongcheng Marquis' mansion. Inside, Xiaoling and his accomplice celebrate the ruin of her family. With the halls breached and her mind set on vengeance, one goal guides her. Xiaoling must die. In a dim courtyard, the enraged Marquis Yongcheng vents his despair before Xue'er. Without the Chu family's name, he cannot hold his rank. Scheming, Xue'er suggests accusing Chu Qinglan of defying the imperial edict by marrying a beggar, ruining her honor and that of her clan. Xiaoling agrees, and a dark plot begins. Meanwhile, in the general's manor, the night glows softly through the bridal chamber. Rang stands nervously at the door, urged by his grandfather not to miss the auspicious hour. He enters, speaking with pure sincerity, that he wishes to consummate the marriage and make her comfortable, just as he was told. Though his innocence is childlike, his touch is gentle. They share a hesitant, tender kiss. When dawn breaks, Rang greets her cheerfully, still in his simple clothes. When she scolds him for not dressing properly, he admits he does not know how. She helps him, flustered, as he teases her softly, remarking on her blush, daring another playful kiss. At breakfast, his grandfather proudly serves nourishing dishes, soft-shelled turtle and ginseng, while proclaiming his wish for a great-grandson soon. Before Chu Qinglan can respond, a servant bursts in, breathless, announcing dire news. The peace of the reborn general is about to be shattered once again. Outside the general's manor, two young children weep, believing their eldest sister, their general, has forsaken them for marriage. But then she returns. Chu Qinglan, reborn and resolute, kneels before them, vowing to protect her kin and change their doomed fate. Their grandfather soon arrives, surrounded by soldiers, assuming she was wronged by Xiaoling. Chu Qinglan quickly reassures him. Calmly, she explains how she humiliated the Marquis before all, ending what she calls their dog-shit marriage. She then presents the soot-covered man beside her. "This is our wrong," she declares. "My chosen husband, who will stand with me to guard this household." Impressed by her conviction, and to spite the Marquis, the grandfather orders that the wedding be held immediately. That same day, under the ancestral banners, Chu Qinglan is named the new head of the household. The future of the Chu family rests in her hands. As she silently swears vengeance upon Xiaoling and Chu Xue'er, Rong takes her hand and promises softly, "I will always stand by your side." At that moment, the gates of the general's manor slam shut. When Marquis Yangchong and Chu Xue'er arrive in fury, the guards relay her cold decree. By order of General Chu Qinglan, no traitor shall set foot within these walls. In an ornate courtyard, the newly resolved Chu Qinglan, dressed in robes of authority, stands before the same soot-stained man. Her words are steady and regal. "All right, from now on, you are my husband. Let's go." She takes his hand and leads him away. Behind them, Marquis Xiaoling seethes with rage. His ambitions crumble as he shouts that she has shamed herself by choosing a man of unknown origin. Unmoved, Chu Qinglan gently asks her new husband's name. "Rong," he answers softly. She repeats it for all to hear, proud and fearless. Xiaoling's mistress mocks cruelly that Rong is nothing but a beggar, a fool scavenging for food. Humiliated, Xiaoling gives Chu Qinglan a final ultimatum: kneel, beg forgiveness, and swear never to disturb his mistress again. Chu Qinglan answers not with words, but with a resounding slap. Calm as steel, she declares, "That beggar, Rong, is 100 times better than the treacherous Xiaoling." With a single shove, she sends the Marquis sprawling. Rong instinctively shields her as they mount a horse and ride into the distance, leaving Xiaoling collapsing in disgrace. From afar, two men dressed in shadowed robes watch in silence. They exchange glances. Rong is no beggar. He is the young palace master, his powers sealed and his destiny veiled. To interfere would summon disaster and the wrath of celestial hunters. If Chu Qinglan is his destined one, she alone may awaken what lies within him.